JKB back with another episode, and today I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City trailer that was just released. If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. It's going to be all over the internet, but I wanted to give you my thoughts on this. Now, let me give some backstory on my history with Resident Evil. Also, excuse my voice, I just woke up, I'm a night owl, but Resident Evil, my teenage years were in the 90s. So Resident Evil and PlayStation were a huge deal in our group of friends. And when Resident Evil 2 came out, there was nothing like this. There was just nothing like it. Resident Evil had been out for quite a while, or I should say we played it for quite a while before Part 2 came out. And we played it inside out. I mean, that mansion is just iconic. And of course, going into the trailer here, some iconic scenes are in this trailer. That's what really is giving me hope here. I think that the acting in the trailer is okay. It's silly, it's over the top, but I think that's kind of part of what they're going for here. They're really trying to translate the game directly into this movie. And you can see that with so many of the setups and the scenes and even though what she's doing, and yeah, it's expanding her backstory to a certain degree, but the casting choices on some of the characters are a bit weird, but then again, what do we know? We haven't seen the film yet, so I'm just basing it on what I've seen. It's really staying true to the game. There's a ton of scenes. Unfortunately, I can't really show the trailer here because copyright issues, and I don't even want to deal with that, so yeah, seeing Resident Evil back on the screen is exciting because the first franchise, well, it is a franchise, but Resident Evil franchise was just ridiculous. Over-the-top action just didn't really fit into the games, and to a certain degree, it might have actually influenced the series, which was going in a direction I don't think many of us really wanted it to. So seeing this trailer with such emphasis on the original designs is exciting. It's exciting as a fan. So this video is more for Sony. I'm excited that you finally have made a Resident Evil movie based on Resident Evil. Now, it's obviously taking Resident Evil 1 and 2, the video games, and probably some of 3, of course, some of 3 is in there as well, and really compacting it into one film, which is fine with me because I don't feel like the first game would be a great movie just in a mansion. I like the idea of having the scope be a bit bigger and getting Raccoon City in there, and maybe it's going to end just as that's really at the end of its story as well. You know, I don't want to spoil anything in case you've never played it, but something terrible happens. But okay, so casting wise, this is where I'm mixed because let me bring this up. The reason why I think Marvel's Avengers, the video game, didn't do well is because none of the characters looked like their Marvel cinematic counterparts. Some of you out there will argue with me, well, what, this means you can't have original ideas anymore and you can't retell the story and all this and this and this. When something is so massive and people grow up with it, it connects to them. It would be like recasting Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. If they redid Last Jedi and said, well, Mark Hamill's old now, let's get somebody younger to play him, but we'll do makeup, make him look like Mark. People would lose their minds. So, do I think that casting characters that look like their counterparts from the video game is important? Yes, and it's clear in this trailer that they've nailed some of them, and others they've just went in total different directions. That could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, we don't know yet. As for the setting, I actually not live close to it, but I know where they filmed this. It was in Sudbury, Ontario, which is about 4 hours north of Toronto. I've been there. If you don't know the city, it's considered to be like the trash can of Ontario or Canada. It's just not a great place. But in saying that, it's pretty good for Raccoon City because it has that small vibe that you need, that small town vibe that you would need to make a sort of classic looking Raccoon City. And I'm just thinking back in my head of being there, and yeah, it would totally fit into that opening, Resident Evil 2 vibe. Now, seeing some of the, zombie dogs and the lickers in the game come to life again, CGI in this trailer is okay. It's not gonna blow my mind. I see what they've done here, and they've definitely went with the style. There's a classic shot, we all know it from the opening of Resident Evil, where the zombie looks over his shoulder. That's in the trailer, so it's amazing, but it doesn't look like the same zombie. But I see what they're doing here. They're taking classic moments and they're translating them into film. Director clearly has a vision here, and that vision is cheese. It clearly is campy, which is fine with me. The first game is unbelievably campy. The second game obviously got a little bit more serious, but it's still campy. The reason it's campy is because the script and the acting in the first game was just horrendous, but that was what made the game so classic. You go back and play it now, and you're like, yes, this feels like first time I played it again. They're obviously going for that in this trailer. So I'm excited to see what they do with the scope, because, I have a feeling it is a small scope in terms of a film. I don't think we're going to see a ton of Raccoon City destroyed and falling apart, and I think it's going to be a very small film, and that's kind of exciting because I'm so sick of just explosions and cities collapsing and zombies running through cities and mayhem and cars exploding. They literally have just taken events from the game, put it in the movie, and that's what we get. So the reason I wanted to make this is because I feel like when you see a trailer, you're either in, or you're sort of, I don't know if I want to see this film, or you're like, that looks horrible. I feel like a lot of people out there are going to watch this trailer and just be 50-50, cautious because of what we dealt with in the past. But there's so much hope in this trailer. The horrible acting doesn't bother me at all. I just think they've either made an amazing representation of the games to film here, and we finally get that film we wanted, or they've made a horrible misstep here and misjudged everything, and it's going to be about bringing those tones together. Because while the trailer is campy, I don't think it's going to be a comedy. Of course, a lot of people are going to look at this trailer and think that it's a comedy almost to a certain degree because of the acting, and that's just how people work. I don't think it has any jokes in the film. It looks like it's going to be a serious tone, campiness all over the place. Zombie effects, they're different, which is kind of exciting, It's kind of exciting to see them go in a new direction in terms of what a zombie looks like. Now, do I wish that George Romero got to make his Resident Evil film back in the day? Yeah, but that was before Resident Evil 2, so it would have been in a mansion, and I've heard things about the script that some people wouldn't like. So, do I wish it was more like Romero's vision? Kind of, because that's what Resident Evil 2 was, and Resident Evil, it was just Romero all over the place. And he even directed, famously, one of the Resident Evil 2 trailers that came out for the game back in the day, and you could win a role in the film, which never actually happened because he never made the film. But in closing here, I'm hopeful. How are you feeling about this? Growing up with this franchise, it means a lot to a lot of people. It's still selling tons of copies, and people go crazy for the merch, and it's just about time we finally got another really good video game movie. So, is it this? Let me know in the comments below if you're excited, what you liked, what you didn't like. Zombies, they look a little weird, but everything else, it's feeling like either you're going to love it or you're going to hate it. So, I guess we're going to wait until November and find out. So, I'll see you in the next episode of JKB, and again, let me know in the comments what you thought of this, because you either love it or hate it, I think, at this point.